You can't even see me. Come on. There you go. That's all you need to do. What's up, you guys? It's Matt and Lewis of Texas Edge Home Inspections, and we're here today on another new construction home inspection. I'm up here on the roof of this new construction house. It is important to take a look at these roofs. We try to walk them as possible because it gives us a better idea of things like, for example, these right here, these are vents. They are bathroom vents. These are of the master bathroom. And we go over there and we get a chance to feel and make sure that exhaust is actually coming out of them. Because even though they're on and they're we can see the ducts, we want to make sure that air is actually, or exhaust is actually making it to the exterior of the house. So we get a chance to look at that. We can look at all the flashings. We can put our hands actually on the shingles and make sure they're adhered. And it just gives us a better vantage point. We can do this with the drone. We do this with the drone when we have to, but if we can, we try to walk it. Here's a prime example of what we're looking for. This flashing right here, this is not painted properly. You can see that they painted it, but they just did a poor job in painting it. And so over time, this can rust and start to deteriorate. Not only will it look worse than it does now, but of course, the deterioration will cause it to not do its job. So we're going to suggest that this gets painted. We also have areas like this, which didn't get sealed. And so moisture can actually get back there behind the flashing. So we need to do something about that. And furthermore, that's not the only one. Check it out. There's also this one right here. We're not sealed over here, so water's gonna come down here and back up into the house from there with this kick out flashing. Well, we're on the other side of it. It needs to be sealed as well. Here's an interesting one right here. So there's a couple things going on with this. And so the vent boot itself is actually buckled. You can see that it'll actually collect a little bit of water and not shed water away. Everything should shed water away from the roof. But the one thing that bothers me the most probably is the fact that it's supposed to be a minimum of 6 inches above the roof. And if you measure it from the front side to the top, I'm not going to get over there with the tape right now, but it might be very close, but there's just no reason for it to be this short. As you can see, most of the other vents on this roof are well higher, and they leave no question as to whether or not they meet the specifications, so we're going to suggest this one get raised. One of the things that this builder's doing that is actually a really good thing, and I don't see it very often. See, this is LP Smart Side here, and this is brick. We have like a ledge of brick here, a sill, if you will, and they have put flashing in between the smart siding and the brick, and so the water will go over that flashing and not go back into the wall cavity. So that's great. A couple of issues that I have with it though is right here, we did not create some type of in dam, and so it doesn't fold over the edge here, and so we have an area where moisture can get inside the flashing and get behind the wall cavity there. And then right here, if you look, we didn't paint or prime the bottom side of our trim board. These are all things that need to be done per the manufacturer's instructions. Now, the manufacturer's instructions call for flashing in this area, so it's great that they're putting that there. Most of the time we just see that area where they just slam the siding on top of the brick, they caulk it, and that they call it good. But it is not good, and it isn't how it's supposed to be done, and will eventually cause problems. But this is actually how you're supposed to do it. They just got a couple of areas that they need to improve upon. When I first came up on this garage door, I noticed that it was out of center. You can see it lines up okay down here, not really, but we got this gap up here, so not a good reveal. The door's shifted over this way, and that shouldn't be the case. And then we tried to operate the door because there's an attic access right above it, and we wanted to make sure that we could get in it. And when we tried to operate the door, this is what we found. Not only does the door appear to be crooked, but this roller has come completely loose. So anytime you open and close the garage door, even manually, it gets all jammed up. With some manipulation, we were able to at least get the door down. And that way we could check that attic access, and we got that done, but they're gonna have to come over here and straighten this door out. Now, when I first arrive to a house, one of the first things I do is I turn on the heat. This house has 2 thermostats, one system, and so I turned the upstairs one on to 80 degrees heat, and the downstairs one off, just to make sure the upstairs only works the upstairs. Then I'll reverse the process later on. After a few minutes, really hot air was coming out of the supply registers upstairs, and nothing was coming out downstairs. So the upstairs works the upstairs, so I turned the downstairs on. Now, after that runs a little while, I'll come take my temperatures. So I did that, and when I came back in, there wasn't any hot air. I found it baffling. I went and looked at the thermostat. It was still set at 80 degrees, but it's only about 76 degrees inside the house. So then after a few minutes, I looked at the registers again, and they were blowing hot again. What this tells me is that the furnace is working intermittently, that it is coming on and getting hot, and then at some point it's shutting off before it is achieving the temperature called for by the thermostat. And then it's, after it shuts off, it comes back on in a few minutes, starts creating heat again, but never actually gets to that desired temperature. Not that I want it to be 80 degrees in the house, but it's going to do that no matter what temperature you're calling for. And so that's not functioning properly and definitely needs to be checked out. Now I'm about to go in the attic and check things out, but I want to point out to you this little, where is it, right there? We got a little blemish in the drywall up here at the ceiling. This is not a huge problem, but definitely going to go in the report. And so we'll take a picture of this stuff like that, because we find stuff like that, but we also find like furnaces that don't work and gas leaks and all sorts of stuff. And so that's going to go in there because obviously it needs to get repaired. But let's go up there and see what we can find. So after coming up here in the attic space, I found the furnace with the cover taken off. This isn't something that I did. It was just like this whenever I got here. This certainly isn't ideal. I don't think it's necessarily the cause of the problem that we're having, but maybe they know there's a problem and they're not done working on it, although they did not notify anybody of this, the buyer or us, before we started the inspection. So not sure what's going on, but we'll notate that as well. So I'm still up here in the attic space, and what we have back here is a fresh air intake system. You probably see me talk about these things all the time. Oftentimes I find them running entirely too much. And at first glance, this one seems to be, because it's running for 39 minutes an hour. But as I understand it, these things have what's called a comfort mode setting. And I think that limits how much it runs whenever the conditions outside are not favorable. This one says comfort on it, so it looks like it's in comfort mode. But these systems really aren't part of the inspection. We include them because we look at them to see if there's anything wrong. We see them installed backwards, running too long, disconnected, ducts disconnected, all kinds of weird stuff on them like that. This one in particular, what we're gonna do is just notate its existence and notate how we found it. And then if they would like to inquire about how often it's supposed to run, recommend that they talk to an HVAC professional. Now, one final thing before I wrap up this attic inspection. Right up here we have a rafter that has come separated from the hip board here. Not come separated so much, probably just it was poorly installed to begin with. Basically it's relying on the nails and not bearing on anything. And so although this one situation alone is not gonna make the house fall apart, this is the kind of stuff we're looking for up here in the attic. We can find it, they can address it, they can sister one next to it and get it tightened up against that hip board and just make things even better than they are right now. And just like that, before I could even finish up my attic inspection, the furnace shut off. The flames just shut right down. And it still hasn't achieved temperature. It was running whenever I got up here, the flames were kicking, but now, as you can see, they have shut off automatically. And so there's definitely something going wrong with the system that needs to be checked out. Now, for those of you that are used to seeing me slamming doors in my "it's not supposed to do that" videos, we got that situation going on over here, but I'm not going to slam it. I'm just going to show you what's happening. And so what happens sometimes, they don't get the hardware aligned just properly, and it doesn't latch whenever you close it. It should do that. They just need to make minor adjustments. And yes, this is one of the minor things we look for as home inspectors, but we do look for it because if you have a door, you want to make sure that it latches, that it closes properly. Furthermore, we have one in the bathroom right around the corner here that tends to just close by itself. You open it up and it just slowly closes by itself. These are both items that we notate in our reports. So one thing just came up during the inspection. Although we have some lights that are on in the house, we have some that are not. These were all on before. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, as we were taking our thermal scans and turning off lights in other parts of the house, these lights in this area just shut off. And the switches weren't off. So we went out there and checked the breaker, and the AFCI breaker is tripped. And so we obviously put it back, but every time we put it back, it just keeps tripping. So something's definitely going on with that breaker and this circuit of the house. They got to come get this checked out for sure. We do all types of home inspections, new construction homes, older homes. We try to look everywhere and find as many things, big or small, as possible. Believe it or not, even though it's a new construction home, we still need to go through it because we still find all kinds of problems. We are opening and closing every door. We're opening and closing every window. We're checking every sink, everything to make sure, every outlet, to make sure that they're all working properly and they're all wired properly. And we always find some sort of problem. So that's where we're going to wrap up this new construction home inspection video today. You guys be sure to like, follow, share, and give us a call so we can inspect your next house. Bye now.